Breaking! Burkina Faso has issued an arrest warrant against Blaise Compaore over the murder of former President Thomas Sankara. But wait, who was Sankara? And why does this decades-old assassination still resonate today? Imagine a leader whose impact was so profound that his legacy continues to fuel political upheaval and inspire new generations. Thomas Sankara, often called Africa's Che Guevara, was a revolutionary whose vision for Burkina Faso still echoes through the corridors of power.
In Burkina Faso, there was a young man called Thomas Sankara with ideas. He came, said, change the name of the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso. How long did he stay? Within a short time, the French organized for his assassination through Blaise Compaore. He was told in advance that he would be killed by Blaise Compaore, who was his friend, and this is what he said: if it is Blaise who has said he's going to kill me, I have no defense. I will die. The man for whom I am named, Patrice Emery Lumumba, at age 36. And this is the letter he wrote, and I conclude with this. Just before he was about to die, and read it in a season in the Congo, he's written to his wife called Josephine, but it's important to note that he had two wives called Josephine, so they both struggled for it, but I think it was meant for his first wife, Josephine Opango. And this is what he said: I now have no doubt that I'm going to die, but I die with my head high above, with indestructible faith and profound belief in the destiny of my country, than to live in humility and renounce the principles which I consider sacred to me, because I know that the history of the Congolese will be written by the Congolese. He was then shot dead and his body drowned in acid. Congo has never been at rest since.
He was assassinated in 1987, but the quest for justice and the fight against neocolonialism he championed are far from over. Intrigued yet? Let's dive into the story of a man whose ideals continue to shape a nation. Thomas Sankara was a Marxist revolutionary and Pan-Africanist born in 1949. As the president of Burkina Faso from 1983 to 1987, he was a beacon of radical change. He renamed the country from Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning land of incorruptible people size, and refused foreign aid, especially from the IMF, to break the chains of imperialism. His policies focused on land reforms, agrarian self-sufficiency, and famine prevention. He built schools, hospitals, and water reservoirs, and even combated desertification by planting 10 million trees in his first year in office. Sankara's literacy campaign skyrocketed the rate from 13% in 1983 to 73% in 1987. He was also a fierce advocate for women's rights, fighting against FGM, forced marriages, and polygamy. Here's the kicker: Sankara was assassinated in 1987 by a Western-backed hit squad during a meeting of the ruling National Revolutionary Council, led by his close friend, Blaise Compaore. Decades later, in 2021, 14 people were charged in relation to his death, including Compaore, who admitted to killing Sankara but claimed it was accidental. Compaore has since lived in exile between Côte d'Ivoire and France. Fast forward to today, Burkina Faso is under the leadership of CPT Ibrahim Traore, a man with a vision strikingly similar to Sankara's. We have been receiving French aid for 63 years, yet our country is not developed, so cutting it off from us now will not kill us. Rather, it will motivate us to work and reform ourselves, declared Traore. Upon assuming power in 2022, Traore expelled French forces, accusing them of funding terrorism in the region. The result? Significant victories against terrorist groups and the reclamation of vast areas of land. Wait, there's more. Over 673,500 displaced Burkinabe have returned home, and more than 100 schools have reopened. The economic landscape, once stagnant, has seen a remarkable resurgence. Local industries, particularly textiles and gold, have flourished, supported by a burgeoning agricultural base. Burkina Faso's GDP growth surged from 1.5% in 2022 to 6.4% in 2024. Traore established the AES regional bloc with Mali and Niger, further diminishing French influence and promoting regional cooperation. Traore's bold reforms include abolishing the 1961 double tax treaty with France, adopting local languages over French, and establishing a homegrown gold refinery. He rejected IMF loans, slashed salaries for himself and ministers, and increased civil servant wages by 50%. His administration has seen significant military and infrastructural developments, such as collaborating with Russia to build Africa's largest nuclear plant and establishing a regional bank for AES countries. Despite facing 7 assassination attempts, Traore's resolve remains unshaken, echoing the legacy of Thomas Sankara. Here's the real twist. Both Sankara and Traore's struggles highlight the ongoing battle against neocolonialism in Africa. The legacy of colonialism has left many African countries dependent on foreign aid and intervention, often to their detriment. Western-style democracy, introduced and often enforced by former colonial powers, has frequently failed to address the unique socio-economic and political contexts of African nations. Instead, it has sometimes exacerbated divisions, fostered corruption, and entrenched elite rule, undermining genuine development and self-determination. The failures of Western-style democracy are evident in the numerous electoral disputes, coups, and prolonged authoritarian regimes that have plagued the continent. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zimbabwe, and Kenya have experienced contested elections leading to violence and instability. Meanwhile, foreign powers often support leaders who protect their interests, regardless of their democratic legitimacy. Considering these failures, some argue that military rule or strongman governance might be a necessary interim measure to stabilize certain countries and pave the way for more genuine, homegrown democratic systems. This provocative idea is exemplified by Traore's leadership, which, despite its authoritarian aspects, has brought tangible improvements in security and development. Do you know what's even more intriguing? Traore's vision for Burkina Faso extends beyond immediate economic and security concerns. The decision to abolish French as the official language in favor of local languages is a symbolic move that underscores a broader cultural renaissance. This shift aims to reclaim and celebrate Burkina Faso's indigenous heritage, fostering a sense of unity and national pride. And wait, there's more. The establishment of the first local gold refinery is another milestone in Traore's quest for economic independence. By processing gold domestically, Burkina Faso can capture more value from its natural resources, creating jobs and generating revenue that can be reinvested in local communities. This initiative aligns with Traore's broader strategy of leveraging the country's natural wealth to drive sustainable development. Here's the real kicker. Despite these achievements, challenges remain. The security situation in Burkina Faso is still precarious, with ongoing threats from jihadist groups. The international community continues to scrutinize Traore's administration, particularly concerning human rights and democratic governance. The postponement of elections and the crackdown on media freedom have raised concerns about the long-term implications of Traore's rule for democratic institutions in Burkina Faso. No African country today is without trouble. Nigeria grapples with the brutal insurgency of Boko Haram and escalating banditry. Burkina Faso, under Traore's leadership, continues to fight jihadist threats. The Democratic Republic of Congo faces ongoing conflict with armed groups, leading to massive displacement and humanitarian crises. Somalia struggles with the persistent threat of al-Shabaab, undermining efforts to stabilize and rebuild. South Sudan is plagued by internal conflict, corruption, and economic woes, despite achieving independence. These nations, among others, are caught in a cycle of violence, instability, and economic hardship, often exacerbated by external influences. Africa's youth have been distracted by the West, lured by the promise of a lifestyle often unattainable within their own countries. Western media and culture dominate, overshadowing the rich traditions and potential of the continent. This cultural imperialism perpetuates a sense of inferiority and dependency, diverting attention from the critical issues of governance, development, and self-determination. But let's not forget the contrasting models in Kenya and Senegal, where governments have focused on reducing the cost of essential commodities like rice, oil, and bread to alleviate economic burdens. These approaches emphasize immediate economic relief and stability, offering a different pathway from the revolutionary changes seen in Burkina Faso. In conclusion, Ibrahim Traore's leadership marks a transformative period in Burkina Faso's history. His bold policies and reforms have set the country on a path towards greater self-reliance and economic growth. But the complexities of governance in a volatile region, coupled with the need to balance security and human rights, present ongoing challenges. Traore's legacy will ultimately be defined by his ability to navigate these complexities while staying true to his vision of a sovereign and prosperous Burkina Faso. Can Africa's youth rise above the distractions and reclaim their continent's destiny? Or will they remain ensnared by the shadows of the West?